Hey there, and thank you for joining us to GamePoints, our weekly get-together when we talk about this week's in gaming news. I am your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is David Smith. How you doing, David?
Hey, hey.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're in chat, always feel free to ask questions and get in the conversation. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff down below. David,
Hey, buddy.
a big old thing came out last week. Huge,
Yep.
one might say. What is it?
The expansion for Destiny.
Incorrect.
For sure.
That's not coming out until later this year.
No, that's gonna be the Pokemans.
All the Pokemans.
On your telephone devices.
Pokemon Go is everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. It just recently released last week on July 6th, and it has quickly hit #1 on the download charts in less than 5 hours after launch. Now, this is a game that I'm literally walking around and seeing grown-ass men and women with their phones on their faces hunting Snorlax.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's ridiculous how many people are playing this game.
Yeah. Did you get into it at all?
Yeah, of course. I'm doing this nonstop since last Tuesday.
Yeah, for those two who might not know how this works, how does Pokemon Go operate, David? Can you give it like the quick dime store breakdown?
So if anyone's ever heard of Ingress, it's exactly that game with a new skin. If you haven't heard of Ingress, it's a game where you wander around in real-world locations, be it art pieces, history sites, whatever it is, are marked as different stops or gyms in this case, where you can either gather items or try and take over a gym from opponents. And the entire time you're walking around, you have the ability to gather Pokemon, which just appear in the world. And when you see one nearby, when you're opening the app, it'll be this little creature. You can poke it, and you get a chance to throw a Pokeball at it. And if you can do it correctly, you keep it, and it's in your arsenal.
You essentially like flick your finger across the screen to toss the Pokeball, right?
Yeah, that's it.
What do you do with them?
You hold on to them. You evolve them. You power them up, and then you use them to fight gyms. That's really the only combat in the game right now. There's no straight PvP, so it's not a regular RPG, not a regular Pokemon game at all. But the gyms are just different territories or different areas, like churches, again, art pieces, stuff like that, that players can lay claim to. And there's 3 different factions in the game. Based on the faction you pick, you can take the gym for your faction. And if you can keep it, you'll get bonus items. So I think there's daily bonuses, and you can also get free items from the shop as well, because, of course, being a mobile game that's free to play, this does have a real-world shop where you can spend money for things like bonuses, level up quicker items, extra storage space, extra Pokeballs, all that good stuff. So,
can you interact with other players as you're doing this yet? Can you trade between 2 people who have this game, or is it all self-contained at the moment?
right now, no. It is in the pipeline. It's something they plan on doing, but right now, it's literally just collect them all and take over gyms.
Okay. It is worth mentioning that this is an open beta, technically not a full release yet, so keep that in mind if you run into any bugs or oddities.
Also keep in mind that Ingress had a player base of around 20,000. This game instantly went to a player base of well over 1 million.
And their servers are feeling it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's constant server issues, tons of bugs, things disappearing. But when it works, it's really fun.
It sounds like a plan. It's definitely not just you and people that you know who are into it. I mean, it's massive across America right now, so much so that they've delayed the rollouts for other countries because of how many people have popped on their servers.
It's hilarious. You can go into any busy section of a town and just wander around, and you will see people anywhere between the ages of, I want to say, 15 and 50 looking at their phones, playing Pokemon. To where you look up at each other, you make eye contact, and everyone just kind of smiles because you know exactly what the other person's doing. They're trying to catch that Pikachu that just went around the corner.
There's this photo of people in Central Park in New York City standing pretty close together, and all of them just have their faces down on their phone. And there's about 30 to 50 people in this photo. None of them know each other. They're just there to catch Pokemon because apparently Central Park is Pokemon Central at the moment.
Nice.
And it's
there's certain times where certain things will spawn and everyone will see it.
And then everyone just goes running to it.
Yep, pretty much.
Now, this is turning out to be very profitable for Nintendo. In this article here from CNN, which is a GamePoints first, I think, that we've actually used them to highlight something.
That's how big it is that we're actually getting game news from CNN.
CNN money at that. But as you can see from the headline here, Pokemon Go craze sends Nintendo stock soaring. Nintendo shares have been on the tear since the Japanese company released its new newest game, Pokemon Go, on Thursday. The stock surged nearly 25% in Tokyo on Monday after jumping 9% on Friday. That is
insane. It's gone up $57 today.
To kind of break it, to kind of put it in a little bit of more simplistic terms, imagine suddenly all the money in your bank has another 25% on top of that. If it's only $100, you got 125. If it's $1 million, you suddenly have 1.25 million. If you're a Nintendo who has a massive cash reserve, you made a shit ton of money over the weekend just because of this one app. Now, it is stocks, of course. Those don't necessarily always translate into raw dollars, and it gets really confusing when you start talking about the nuances of that. But hey, all you need to know is it's been proving to be very, very successful Nintendo, so expect us to stick around a while.
Now, the funny thing is that all this stuff we hear about Nintendo, we don't really know exactly what the figures are for Niantic, which is the actual developed game. They're the ones that made Ingress,
Correct.
And that's the platform that this whole game's built on.
And they're also the ones publishing it, I believe. I don't think Nintendo is publishing this. This is all in Niantic. Niantic.
Mm-hmm.
Weird spelling if you ever see it physically written down. So I have no idea what their stock has gone up, if any. I don't even know if Niantic is a publicly traded company.
They're a private company based out of San Francisco.
Okay, so they're not public, so they wouldn't be on the exchange.
But how much money they've made off this is probably going to be pretty entertaining.
Obscene. If Nintendo stock jumped up 25%, you can only imagine how much they have been able to rake in over the past few days.
I just hope they negotiated on their behalf well with Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gotten screwed. We don't know. But either way, I'm sure both ends are making money. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, however, in the world of Pokemon Go at the moment. Like you were mentioning earlier, David, a lot of places are listed as Pokemon gyms and Pokestops where you can stop and get supplies and train up characters.
So one note about this is all the stops and gyms and all those locations are based on the portal locations from their old game Ingress.
Yeah,
it's literally
just more or less
exact same map. They reskinned it exactly. Now, the way Ingress worked is people could literally just submit photos of locations or items for review, and if the company liked it, they would make it part of the game, which means it's not necessarily always an art piece. Sometimes it's just a road sign. Sometimes it's a nice-looking house. Sometimes it's a church. Actually, lots of times it's a church. And there's all kinds of little things that you wouldn't necessarily think are good when all of a sudden you have 1 million people playing it, which is kind of what we're getting into now.
Yeah, for a personal example, one of the gyms near where I live is actually mainly a liquor store now. So you're having a bunch of underage kids go into this liquor store and they're freaking the hell out. But in the case of poor Boone Sheridan up in Massachusetts, the Pokestop is his house.
Mm-hmm.
This article via Games Radar Plus says, quote, "Help, my house is a Pokemon Go gym. The reality of living in a virtual space." This article goes on to talk about how this poor son of a bitch by the name of Boone Sheridan actually lives in an old church. So his house itself at one time was a church, someplace you would publicly going to. Makes sense to do that, but it has since been converted into a house. And now he is just having people standing in his yard at all hours of the day with their phones looking down. From the article itself, directly from Sheridan, actually, here's a quote from him saying, it just kept going on during the day. I'd go and do something, I'd come back to make lunch or get a glass of water and look for people, and sure enough, there'll be 1 or 2 people. At one point, there was a group of 5 or 6 folks, end quote. Now, he's also taken a couple photos he's posted to Twitter showing cars blocking his driveway. He's afraid his wife's going to wake up in the middle of the night and see people stand there and freak out. Now, he himself, to his credit, has taken all this relatively in stride. He gets what's going on. He's tech savvy enough to understand what Pokemon Go is, even though he doesn't play it. And he's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I think the novelty's kind of fun. And he's not quite at that point of get off my lawn like I might be. But if this goes on for a couple weeks, I can see this starting to really piss people off.
Here's the thing that I'm imagining, because I'm assuming he's not the only one. It's just the one that we're aware of right this second. But what I'm thinking of is when this was an Ingress portal, he was aware of it, and he saw maybe like a couple people a month or something, and he never really cared about it. But now he's seeing multiple people throughout the day, and it's making me think of the story of what happened to the house that was in the Goonies. You ever heard about that story? It's a house up in Oregon, and the people that own that house used to be really cool. They'd let people come take a look at the house. They'd let them take pictures. If they were feeling up to it, they let people like look inside the house a little bit. They were like really cool. The problem is as more and more people that are fans of the movie go to look at this house, people inherently suck. So there was cigarette butts outside their house. There was garbage outside of their house. There was people on their yard all the time, trampling their grass, just making a mess of the place. And I fully imagine that not everyone that's playing this game is actually responsible enough to have the wherewithal to not be a dick to other people. So you're going to have people that show up at this house and they're smoking in front of his house, trying to take the gym or eating food and leaving trash and all this other crap. And when that happens, then you're going to see problems.
Well, not only that, but this happens a lot. You mentioned the Goonies house. There's also the house where Breaking Bad was filmed at. The owners of that house have an issue of people fucking throwing pizzas on top of the roof because apparently that's a scene from Breaking Bad. So they'll just chuck a full pizza up on the roof, not tell anyone about them, and all of a sudden, like a week later, there's all this bird shit everywhere on the front door. So, long story short, if you're actually going, one, don't trespass on someone else's private property to get a fucking Pokemon. I've seen pictures of Twitter everywhere where someone's like, I walked into this guy's backyard. I mean, we're not even talking small names either. We're talking like full-on verified Twitter accounts of a couple 100,000 followers. Don't be a dick. It's not your fucking property.
Also, keep in mind where you're doing that kind of shit, because there's some states in the union where they can shoot your ass dead, no questions asked.
Straight, yeah. Someone is going to get shot over this. Because if I wake up at 3 in the morning, and let's say, I mean, I live in California, so, I mean, that's more or less a socialist republic where no freedoms are allowed anywhere. But let's say I was still living like in Oklahoma or in some of the more southern states like South Carolina. I wake up at 3 in the morning and I hear someone palling around in my backyard who's hopped over the fence to fucking track down a Pokeball. There's going to be someone who's going to think that's like a home invader and they're going to shoot their ass dead.
Yep. No questions asked.
And we're already starting to see a few of the, like I said, this is on the lighter side of some of the stories coming out. There's another story that just happened recently that's a little bit darker. And while the Poke person didn't die, there was a dead body involved. And this comes from the Epic Times. Pokemon Go player discovers dead body in Wyoming.
Yep.
Less than a week after Pokemon Go was released to the public, 19-year-old Riverton, Wyoming student Shayla Wiggins found a dead body floating in a nearby river while she was playing the augmented reality game. Now, once again, for the 3 people who aren't playing Pokemon Go, you pull your phone up, it kind of sends you on a GPS geocache hunt.
It's more or less like a geocaching, and you get vague clues when you're going in the right direction. It's kind of like hot potato. It's going to get warmer, it's going to get colder, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And as you get closer to it, then it'll give you a little ding and you can attach it. But
and this poor girl...
Where this stuff spawns is kind of random.
This poor girl. And she was 19, so I don't know if I should say the term girl. I mean, it could have been like a 12-year-old, and that would probably even be worse/funnier. But she was walking in the middle... Here, let me read the quote from her, actually, from the article. Quote, "It just kept going on during the day. I'd go do something, and I'd... sorry, wrong quote. I'm reading the quote from
Boone.
From Boone Sheridan earlier. Actually, I don't have a quote from her, so never mind. But yeah, she was saying that she was walking in the forest near this river and she started across this bridge and just found a dead body face up in the river. Cops were, of course, called. They said it looks like it was an accident. There was no foul play involved. He was probably dancing around and tripped or something like that. It looks completely accidental, but still, be careful when you're looking for these Pokemon, because you might... Let's take the dire shit out of it, like getting shot or finding a dead body. You might have your head in your phone and you're going to walk into something, or you might walk out in the middle of the street.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Remember to look up every once in a while.
Exactly.
There's going to be too many people that are walking into traffic and walking in front of trains and all this other fun stuff. I'm waiting for the guy that jumps the third rail on the subway so that he can try and get something on the other side.
Yeah, it just gets splattered by like the BART or something like that.
Yep, pretty much.
All that said, even if you are doing all of that, be totally aware of your surroundings and don't necessarily trust everyone willy-nilly, especially if it's the middle of the night, lest what happens to you what happens to these poor people in the St. Louis County, Missouri. This article is from CBS News. Once again, another first for GamePoints.
Right.
Pokemon Go being used to stage robberies, police say. In St. Louis County, Missouri, police say that 4 men used the newly released Pokemon Go game to commit multiple robberies in the St. Louis and St. Charles counties. People say that they believe the suspect conducted multiple armed robberies by targeting the victims through Pokemon Go game. Essentially, what they were doing is they went to this out-of-the-way Pokestop, kind of away from any housing or essentially where no one would really normally go. And they would drop a lure, which lures all the Pokemon, and then people would come to pick up these Pokemon. And these four people would come out armed and rob your ass because you're in the middle of nowhere. You're
in the middle of the night.
No one's going to see it, and it's in the middle of the night. Suspects were located by the O'Fallon police after responding to an armed robbery call around 2 a.m. in St. Charles County, and the suspects were sitting inside a vehicle, and a handgun was recovered amongst them. Be fucking careful. I know that Pokemon Go is very fun. I know that a lot of you are into it right now. Just a monochrome of common sense goes a long, long way with this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen because there's also been a lot of issues just with police forces and security in general because this is getting a lot of people to go outside, a lot more than normal. So downtown areas especially have been really busy. And it's not just in the daytime, it's really at night because with the way the servers are loaded up, at night, it actually eases up. So a lot of people have been going out in the middle of the night because that's the best chance they have to actually get connected, to get gyms like Pokemon, all that other fun stuff. But that also means that you have people that are maybe not trespassing in the middle of the night, going to places like parks, for example, which are closed after sunset. People are going to parks in the middle of the night, no big deal.
Or showing up at like police departments in the middle of the night when they're all on edge already after some of the events that have happened over the past couple days.
Exactly, especially with all of that happening. There's even reports of like college campuses with security trying to crack down on the fact that they have students milling about at 3 in the morning. I mean, it's a college campus, so you expect some of that, but not the numbers they're seeing now. It's making a lot of security officials very nervous.
All of this said, if you're a business, don't be a moron. Use this to your advantage. There are pictures of a Dairy Queen who has a sign up that says Pokemon are for paying customers only. You're a fucking moron. Be like the bar next to where I live at that straight up has a Pokemon hotspot, one of the hotspots built into it. And these people buy a lure every day and fire it off during happy hour because it fucking increases foot traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Be smart about it on all ends. Just use your brain. Don't go out at 3 in the morning to hunt Pokemon. And if you do, don't hop into other people's yards. And don't freak out if you see random people coming into your store. That's what you want.
Right? Because at some point they're going to look up.
Yeah, exactly. Embrace it. Embrace that's here. Just be smart about it. And that's more or less all I have to say about Pokemon Go. I'm sure that we will revisit this story multiple times throughout the year because, as I think we've both said at this point, I fully expect someone to get killed over this goddamn game.
All I know is I can't wait for PAX because that is going to be a clusterfuck of hilarity.
Oh, God, everyone running into each other, not paying attention.
Yep. Absolutely. Seattle's going to be a madhouse, and it's going to be hilarious.
Well, Comic-Con's before that. That's going to be, I think, our first test run on how this goes. Though we won't be there. We will be at PAX, so we'll get to see it firsthand. Anyways, other stuff this week has happened other than Pokemon Go, and probably the biggest thing. Yeah, I know. Once again, the timing on Evolve sucks, but Evolve apparently has gone free to play.
Which is actually pretty great to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the biggest complaint I think a lot of people had with that is the fact that they took a game that had not a whole lot of content and released it for $60 with outrageously planned DLC content.
Absolutely. This was kind of like, I don't want to say the grandfather, but this was definitely should have been an early warning to see how a lot of these AAA games are going. Look at Star Wars Battlefront's the next closest example I can think of, where they release a full game with all this other shit to come later, but you're still paying $60 for that, and then you're paying more on top for all the DLC.
Oh, thanks.
And Evolve, even faster than Titanfall, was a flash in the pan. A lot of people got into it real quick, and they went, okay, no more. And the player base dropped.
I was completely on the hype train for this game, all the way up to the beta. I thought it was amazing, super fun, looked great, ran great. Somehow it was actually optimized at beta level. And they're like, okay, that'll be $60. I've already played all 3 of your maps. and I've seen 2 of your 3 monsters. Why am I paying you $60 for this?
Exactly.
When you're immediately going to turn around and charge me an extra 20 for an extra character and another 20 for it was just.
And the DLC plan was insane. I mean, we popped up the spreadsheet when we were first talking about Evolve. I want to say 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
This is a while ago.
Yeah, and it took up the entire screen that you see here, and it wasn't even like blown up in big font. It was fucking ridiculous. As such, though, Evolve dropped dramatically. Came and went. Few people playing. I want to say they had at peak recently before this free-to-play update was like 200 people.
Oh yeah,
on average, they would do like
maybe
100.
200 people playing it.
Keep in mind these are
there was
PC
more
stats
people.
only.
There was more people watching streams of like Final Fantasy IX on Twitch than playing Evolve.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. But to Turtle Rock Studios' credit, they didn't give up on Evolve. They went back to the drawing board. They said, okay, we fucked up. Let's see if we can fix it. And a couple days ago, on their official forums, they announced this right here.
Evolve
A message to our community. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go to the link below if you're watching this on YouTube if you actually want to read it. But long story short, it goes on talking about how proud they are of Evolve. One of the quotes from there, we're making a... talks about how they put a lot of heart into it, that they felt that this was a good thing, but they clearly realized something happened. Something didn't quite click, and they think they know what it was, and they're going to try to earn their trust back, as it were, by making it free to play. A quote directly from the developers at Evolve. We're making Evolve free on PC. No buy-in or box required. Making Evolve free on PC is going to be a process that takes time and a lot of hard work, but we believe in Evolve, and we believe in you, our players, and want to do what is best for both. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to make Evolve free on PC as a beta starting July 7th. This is going to allow us to hit our new server infrastructure really hard, and we need your help testing. Anyone who owns the classic Evolve will be given founder status in the new free version, and all the content you already own comes with you to the new version. As long as we work on Evolve, we will show our appreciation for our committed fans and early adopters with gifts, rewards, and special access. End quote. It is as it sounds. It's free to play. If you already bought it, you're getting a whole bunch of extra shit. I can see why some people would be pissed off if they dropped, like, what was it, the $100 in addition to the $60 for the elite version of Evolve, or what it was.
Super version? Yeah.
And the only thing that I can say is that those people hold Turtle Rock Studios' feet to the fire when they say we are going to be constantly giving you free content if you bought that.
So here's the thing. One of the things they were talking about when I was looking through their blog post is that they have a plan to have additional characters being released, like extra hunters to fight against the monsters, maybe monsters down the line, who knows. But that kind of gives them something that they can give out, and it's also a way that they can monetize it, because as it is, they're making it so all the DLC content that was released is going to be accessible through play now.
Correct.
But that means they also have to think of a way they can make any amount of money on it, which is going to be skins, which is going to be additional characters, things like that. And so when that stuff starts coming out, I'm assuming that all of these founders are going to get either first dibs on it, or they're going to get a lot of it for free, or at least heavily discounted.
And keep in mind, too, this isn't like, say, Star Wars Battlefront, which has the Star Wars name attached to it, and you can go, hey, we're going to give you something in 2017, and people will be like, oh, okay. This is Evolve. This is a game that had a 100-person player base not a week ago. They need to constantly be updating this, and they need to hold true to their word if they want to have any kind of traction whatsoever. Now, at first glance, this Evolve Stage 2, as they're calling it, seems to be a success for them. Peak user count was 157 before this happened, it looks like. The day after it went free to play, that number jumped up to 24,000.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm actually probably going to try it out again.
They have people looking into it. It's just, man, they need to, this could be good. I'm not saying it's bad.
As long as they don't screw it up. We'll see.
Also, if you have played Evolve before and the gameplay itself wasn't your liking, keep in mind they have changed a lot of that up too. Apparently, it's a lot faster. It's easier to track the monster now. The monster can actually defend himself a little bit better than he used to.
They've actually changed a lot of things, because as it was before, only the hunter could put down the traps, which basically lock the monster in this big giant bubble so everyone could kill it. Now everyone has a trap, but the traps last a lot less time. There's an actual timer for the trap that everyone, including the monster, can see, and it can be damaged so that you can break through it easier.
Okay.
So that kind of fundamentally changes it so that the monster has more of a chance in the early game.
it sounds like they just fundamentally changed a lot of what the game was there, besides the payment mechanics. So if you're always that interested in it, give it a shot. Hell, it's free now, so we'll see how it goes. And best of luck to Total Rock Studios. I hope this works out. Evolve was a cool idea that just got fucked through grossly omnipresent DLC.
I like asymmetric games. Don't screw this up.
Exactly. Look to Vermintide for a good example. Next topic. Remember last week how we were talking about the CSGO
Nonsense.
CSGO Lotto bullshit with TmarTn
Yes.
and about how he was essentially, I mean, let's call a spade here. He was fucking lying to you and milking kids for gambling money and saying, oh, this site is coming to me for a sponsorship. And we were talking about it. It's like, motherfucker, you own the site. Don't act like you don't know who these people are. A shitstorm blew up over it, to put it lightly.
And we talked about that shitstorm last week.
He uploaded this video, this apology video. And it's the most tone-deaf fucking video I have ever seen. Let me start the first part of it here. It's going to be muted, but you don't need to really hear it to see what's going on. It starts off with him fucking talking with his dog, clearly not having any sense of professionalism there, going, oh, how am I going to make this apology? Oh, my God, I'm so... And then it cuts to him, as you see now, in his really nice house, with his Jeep fucking located through his driveway, strategically positioned so everyone can see it. You know, all the stuff he bought with all the fucking money he illicitly stole from kids. Not, he didn't steal, but...
Swindled.
Yeah, swindled. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
He goes on saying, quote, my connection to CSGO Lotto has been a matter of public record since the company was first organized. That's
hilarious.
True. That technically true. It has been a matter of public record. Did you fucking say it anywhere, though, in any of your videos? Hell no.
Yeah.
In fact,
he added it after the fact.
He went out of his way to make it sound like he had no connection to it if you watch some of the other videos before all this blew up, and he put the little tag on the end of them. He also says, I'm sorry to each and every one of you who feel that wasn't made clear enough to you. What a condescending fucking sentence, you jackass. The reason why it wasn't made clear enough to us is because you didn't say anything about it, you fucking dick. Now, here's the thing. This apology video didn't go over too well. So he pulled it. He set it to private because he knew he fucked up. And there's a good chance his lawyer probably said, you need to fucking pull this video now. But, much like the North, the internet remembers. And thank you to Swisher, YouTube user Swisher, for uploading that video I just played right there in its entirety if you want to go see it.
Yeah, he just re-uploaded it. It's fantastic. Thanks, guy.
This guy is a dick. Anyone defending him is willfully delusional. Fuck this guy. Hard. And the FTC is starting to take more and more notice of this shit. In fact, they just came out with a ruling recently saying Warner Brothers was guilty for paying off sponsors to show footage of Shadow of Mordor without disclosing their sponsorships. So the government is starting to get real analytical in this stuff. That's not quite the word I was looking for. But the days of this shit is numbered. And it's going to be a very swift retribution for people pulling this kind of crap.
The law is going to start catching up.
Yeah, this isn't like penny ante, I'm going to pay a fine shit. This is, you go to jail. Federal crime bullshit.
Oh, not like casual white-collar conjugal visit jail, but like federal pound you in the ass jail.
Yeah, it's bad. And when you're making a couple $1 million off these videos, the government is going to get involved because that's a lot of money the government can have. So don't think that you're small time and no one's going to pay attention to you. You're not. And I'm looking forward to that day. Next topic.
Man, I can't wait for us to talk about something we haven't talked about before that's a good story.
Well, that's not going to be this one because, well,
Damn
it depends. Depends on how you look at it. We've gone off on G2A
Progress.
the past couple shows. G2A, a gray market key reseller. We've talked about their beef or their spat with Tiny Bill.
Shady ass business practices.
Last week we talked about how they're trying to correct some of the stuff, and it was pretty laughable. They're going another step farther.
I think we actually legitimately laughed at it last week.
I think so too. They're going another step farther, and it seems like they're slowly starting to get it. This is an article from Eurogamer. Let me go ahead and bring that up right here for those watching. Games key reseller G2A moves to legitimize its business. G2A has moved to legitimize its business by adding security measures designed to verify those who sell game keys on the platform. Now, if you recall, that was the big thing I was saying they absolutely needed to do to even start going in the right direction. So kudos on G2U.
Yay!
You're finally doing something you should have been doing from the get-go. You're starting
You've
to verify
managed to
people.
catch up to eBay from 15 years ago.
No, not quite.
Almost catch up to eBay from 15 years ago.
This is from the article itself. The steps include social media profile account verification, phone number verification, and a restriction of a number of products, up to 10, you're able to sell without providing further proof of identification. More steps are coming for new sellers, G2A said, including credit card, PayPal, and address via bank statement verification. Awesome. Bank statement verification, credit card verification, all that good stuff is what you should do. Notice they emphasized new sellers.
New sellers.
Now, that could have been a typo. G2A, I believe, is a Russian-based corporation. I don't think English is their first language. They might have meant all sellers. So I'm going to hold off until I see exactly how they're going to implement this. But if they're not hammering the people already on there selling the illicit keys, this is once again a bunch of another bunch of hot air. It means nothing. In addition, you can still sell shit up to 10 items at once without any verification beyond social media, phone number. Yeah, social media profile and phone number. So I make an account with G2A. I tie my fake Twitter name. I sell stolen shit at Twitter. And my phone number is 916-555-5281. Done. I can sell 10 keys. And then sell 10 more. And then sell 10 more.
867-5309.
So until that last bit, credit card, PayPal, and address via bank statement verification is the absolute minimum standard for all sellers across the board, G2A is still a fucking fence. That said, this is at least a step in the right direction, but still not there yet.
Progress is better than not progress, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they actually get it or not.
At least we're not yelling at them for once. We're begrudgingly admitting that they are on the track to potentially be less shitty.
Potentially, but they're still not there yet. They're not quite across the goal yet, and I'm not going to congratulate them when they finally hit that goal because this is like the bare minimum of shit. It's like the old Chris Rock bit when he talks about how parents shouldn't be glad saying, I feed my kid. It's like, bitch, feeding your kid is the bare minimum that you're supposed to do. You shouldn't take pride in that.
I did my best there. Oh, that was good. That's nice.
David, next story is a little bit more up your alley, so why don't you take it over from here?
Okay, well, let's talk about the fact that Nvidia just keeps putting it to AMD, and I think it's hilarious. So not that long ago, Nvidia released the GTX 1080 and 1070, which are graphics cards that had such a ridiculous jump in power per price point that it's a little bit absurd, honestly. It's one of those huge jumps that happens every once in a while where the card just gets so much better than the previous card that we have cards that are cheaper than the 980 Ti, which is the previous, like one of the best cards that Nvidia had, that perform better, which is fantastic. That's just the 1070. We're not even talking about the 1080 yet. Now, the problem is that these are pretty high-end cards. So you're looking at $400, $600, $700 for something like this. So AMD, being the kind of underdog in the graphics card race,
real quick,
released
$400 to $600 in the what we're talking about for performance-wise here. Pretty fucking solid when compared to the $1,000 cards like the Titan that give you worse performance.
Oh yeah, the cards they're replacing are about double the price. So that definitely something to consider. But not everyone buys high-end cards. That's actually not where the the majority of the market share is. The mid-range, the cards that are between $150 and $300, is where a lot of people like to actually spend their money. And just a week ago, AMD released the RX 480, which has very similar performance to a GTX 970, but it's only $200. So the 970 being last generation's card, which at this point is still probably a $340 card. So you're saving 130, 140 bucks and getting something that's actually capable of VR and capable of running games at 1440p. So that's pretty nice that you can do that for that much money. Nvidia, though, won't let AMD have anything, not even for a week. So they have announced the GTX 1060, which is going to be their mid-range card for the new lineup, which is actually kind of unprecedented because the mid-range cards almost never come out before the 4 to 6 month mark of when the high-end cards release. So the fact that it's happening right now means that they're really just trying to hammer AMD out of the market.
Absolutely.
So this 1060 is coming out, and it's using a different version of the chip that's in the 1080 and 1060. It's got less memory. It's got like a six gigabyte GDDR5 memory clock. It's got boost clock 1.7. You can overclock to 2. A bunch of numbers that you don't need to care about too much. Just know that this card is still better than the GTX 980, which means it's actually going to still be better than the AMD RX 480 that just released. And this one's going to be 300 bucks.
AMD just cannot fucking catch a break.
So, yeah, at this point, you have a card that's going to be quite a bit better than AMD's card, which is going to be at a very, very close price point to where if you're thinking about buying the AMD, you might spend the extra 50 to 75 bucks on getting the Nvidia card because you can get that much more price performance. And a lot of times people are looking at performance per dollar, and this one's kind of there. It's not going to get you 4K games. That's when you're looking more into the 1080 range, but it will give you some pretty high-end graphics. You should be able to run any new games, definitely
Absolutely.
at max. Just don't look for 4K.
Thank you for Ars Technica for the link, by the way, that I posted up there. These cards come out worldwide July 19th if you're looking to grab one. I mean, it's 250 bucks is dirt fucking cheap for what it does.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that they're releasing already.
Next
they were ready. Well, speaking of release dates, let's talk about Nintendo and how they have a console coming out eventually, except maybe sooner than we thought.
The NX going to give it to you in 2017.
In March
2017. This is via their Nintendo's official Twitter. The next generation Nintendo is coming March 2017 with the hashtag NX. I'm a bit concerned because I still have no idea what it fucking does.
No clue. No one has any clue.
Less than a year out, I know nothing about this console. I know nothing that's going to be on it other than that Zelda game. I think they announced that Zelda is going to be on the Wii U and the NX.
Yep.
But beyond that,
we don't know what the controller is. We've seen various different copyrights that they've filed that could be the controller, might not be the controller. We have no fucking clue.
In fact,
it's going to be motion-based. We don't know if it's going to be some combination console/mobile device because they keep saying that this is going to bridge the gap between the 3DS platform and the actual Wii U consoles.
I'm really worried about it.
We have no idea what Nintendo's doing. We have no clue, and it's scary, especially since they just made a shit ton of money on Pokemon Go.
To go back to your comment about how we're getting all these leaked controller details, yet another possible leaked detail of the NX came out. This is in addition to the weird oval control that had the screen built in the U-shaped thing. This comes via ZugeEX on Twitter. Now, this guy is known as a relatively reliable source of leaks and information. He's on top of stuff. And as you can see on his Twitter, he has a patent of it looks like, it reminds me of a Game Boy Micro almost, looking at it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that thing. I think it was cool.
But this is a patent. Here he's got the link to go to the actual patent office itself. Let me click on here and see if I can actually bring that up. Nope, that's not going to work. But as you can see, the image on here, no idea if this has anything to do with the NX or not. This is just another one of the Nintendo patents that's leaking out about it. And, well, I mean, we'll find out in March, I guess.
So here's kind of my theory. I could be completely wrong, but this is my running theory that I'm going to hold until March. We always talk about the fact that Sega does what Nintendo don't. That's our gag here on this show.
That was the 90s catchphrase, yes.
Yes. Well, mostly they'll allow us to play trailers without pulling our videos.
Well, Sega also makes games now.
Womp. But let's take a time trip back to maybe September of 1999 at a little console I like to call the Sega Dreamcast. Now, the Sega Dreamcast, as you remember, was this ridiculous looking controller that had one of the coolest memory cards that I'd ever heard of at the time.
The VMU.
It's called the VMU, that you could take out, and you have a D-pad and an A and B button. And there was actually games that you could play on your VMU that would be based on the save games contained on it. So the biggest one I always remember playing was Skies of Arcadia. This is very simple, just kind of flying game to collect items, and then you could take those items that you'd gained from playing your little mobile memory card, plug it back into your Dreamcast, and all of a sudden you have extra stuff for the game that you're playing. This makes me think that Nintendo wants to take that concept into 2016 and actually make a console where you can play the console, kind of like the thought process behind Sony and the Vita that they never really embraced because they hate the Vita, where you can play your game on your NX console and then turn your console off and then all of a sudden be playing the mobile version or the down-res version on your actual controller that has whatever life, and walk out your front door, come back home, plug it back in, and keep going where you left off. That concept could be very cool, and it's very similar, like I said, what the Vita was trying to do before Sony abandoned it. So I'm interested to see if that's what they're wanting to do with this new system.
Nintendo kind of floated around with this idea a little bit back during the GameCube days with games like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, when you can hook up 4 Game Boy Advances to it and use them as individual screens and controllers, in addition to interacting with what was on the TV. So they've tried to do this mobile console hybrid before. In this case, it was more of a peripheral add-on setup rather than built from the ground up. But this is definitely something they flirted with before. I can see that going in that direction. All the rumors sound like it's supposed to be heading somewhere in that direction. I just kind of wish they would fucking say something about it rather than going, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming."
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
you're
no,
gonna get
I kind of
you're
want
gonna get
some
something.
details
You're gonna
about
like it,
especially after the past few things you guys have done. I am very leery of Nintendo at this point.
At this point, I think they're just holding off on all announcements because they wanted Pokemon Go to come out so they could make a shit ton of money really quick before they tell people what this actual console is going to be and have a bunch of shareholders drop out.
There could be something to that. There could be some...
Just because Nintendo is kind of notoriously behind the times right now, they're not really going after the same market that Sony and Microsoft are as far as the game console.
They absolutely beat to the march of their own drum.
Yeah, they do what they want. And for the most part, all they do is release first-party Nintendo games. They get no third-party love because they're always underperforming everybody else. So the question is this new console going to be just them catching up to the PS4 and the Xbox? Is it going to be on par with the Neo and the Scorpio? Or is it going to be something better? Because we have no flipping clue because Nintendo doesn't like to talk.
Yep, exactly. They're a very secretive company, and I think that's... We always... You know how there's the diehard Nintendo fan, right? That buys into everything that they do, and that's been their market for years. The problem is that group of diehard Nintendo fans is constricting. It is getting smaller and smaller every year.
Well, because it's not gaining anybody.
No.
These are literally people that have been diehard Nintendo fans since the late 80s, early 90s that have just held on. But it's just not worth it.
It cannot be understated how poorly the Wii U has done for Nintendo and how much the 3DS has slowed down in sales. Like, they are slowing to a trickle. That is not to say Nintendo is about to go out of business. Anyone who says Nintendo is about to go out of business as a game company has their head up their ass, to be quite honest with you. But they sure as fuck aren't the powerhouse that they used to be. And we'll see if that changes. I want Nintendo to succeed. Love Mario games. Love Zelda. Love Metroid. That's really all they have. And even then, the Zelda they got coming out looks 5 years old. The Metroid they got coming out is fucking Federation Force. And Mario, when was the last time I actually really enjoyed a Mario game? What, Super Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii 4 or 5 years ago?
And that's
maybe
also
3 years ago.
Let's not talk about what Star Fox is doing.
Yeah, fuck.
Rough. Well, Nintendo, I want to believe.
Final bit of news before we move on to new releases.
Oh, this is something I'm actually legitimately excited about.
No Man's Sky has gone gold. According to Hello Games' official Twitter, bam, there's Sean Murray holding up the full gold copy of No Man's Sky written on a burned Blu-ray, ready to go to print and ready to come out soon. I don't think we need to really get into discussion about No Man's Sky because we've been talking about this game for about 2 years now. What I want to kind of focus more on is what we think it's actually going to be compared to what people are hoping it's going to be and what the hype says it's going to be.
It's an exploration game.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not what people think. I don't think that's what a lot of people think it's going to be. The hype around this game...
Most people are dumb because they don't know how to read.
And
this game is purely an exploration game. That's all you're getting.
I get the feeling that a lot of people think this is going to be way more than that. I feel like a lot of people think this is going to be essentially like a Star Citizen almost. And I think when this game finally comes out, a lot of people are going to be pissed off that it's not.
Well, they're all stupid. I don't give a shit about any of those people. If you're one of those people that thinks that No Man's Sky and Star Citizen are the same game, you kind of deserve the disappointment. This is a game about exploration. This is a game about just a giant, amazing space that you can fly through. And all I care about is that I can hopefully get it soon, because I've been waiting for No Man's Sky for a couple years, and thank God I'm finally getting it.
Although I would like to point out, August is when it comes out.
Hilarious that I'm going to get it before I get Star Citizen. That's a whole nother bag.
My concern is just, if you've been looking forward to No Man's Sky, just temper your expectations. I get the feeling that this game is not going to get 10s across the board. I think it's going to get like between 7 and 8s. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that a lot of people are going to assume this is going to fucking walk on water when it comes out.
They think it's Elite Dangerous with more planets?
I'm just asking, tone down your hype for this one. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just saying it's not going to be what you think it is. But No Man's Sky is still a couple weeks away. This week, however, we have a bunch of other stuff we can play. David, why don't you tell us what we can play this week?
So the first thing is a game series that I've loved for a very, very long time, and I believe this one is going to be the first one that I don't run out and buy. Surprisingly enough, Monster Hunter Generations releases on 3DS this week. Monster Hunter is a franchise that has existed since the PS2 days. It's a game about hunting monsters, surprisingly enough. You kill monsters, you carve their monster bones and whatnot, so you can make new armor, make new weapons, so you can kill more monsters. That's the whole game in a nutshell. It's got a story. The big thing is that it's got co-op play, 4 players, and it's actually really fun. The problem that I've been having with it is it's huge in Japan, absolutely huge. And in the Americas, it's fairly popular, but not quite as big. But anytime the game releases in Japan, America gets another version that has a couple features added. Japan gets mad. They have a new version that has all of America's features plus a few more. And then we get more or less the collector's version, which just has everything that's been released so far for that game. This game is that for this cycle of Monster Hunter. Okay. This is basically Monster Hunter for Extreme DLC Game of the Year edition.
Fair enough.
If that makes any sense.
I get what you're saying.
I've basically played this game, is what I'm getting at. So I don't have any reason to jump out and grab it. So, like I said, if you've never played a Monster Hunter game, they're definitely worth picking up if you have a 3DS or if you have a PS2 and you want to go find that. I'll bet the online doesn't work anymore. But I think they're fun.
I just don't want it on a handheld. Give it to me on a PlayStation 4.
Oh, yeah. If this game was on console, I would absolutely be buying
it.
A Monster Hunter. I would buy whatever console it came out for. I don't even care.
Imagine a Monster Hunter that looked like Dark Souls or Bloodborne on the PlayStation 4. And I would fucking buy it day one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else is coming out this week?
Also coming out this week, we have Ghostbusters releasing on PC, Xbox, and PS4. This is the licensed Ghostbusters tie-in to go along with the movie that, by all accounts, totally sucks ass. So,
critics, when it comes to the movie, critics are split. You have a couple people saying it's the greatest thing of all time. You have a bunch of other people saying it's the worst piece of shit ever. I get the feeling that they really didn't watch the movie as much as they're just trying to defend their side.
Mm-hmm.
From people that I trust, the movie just is. It just exists.
It's a movie that you can watch.
Mediocre. It'll be forgotten in a week. They say anyone saying it's a great film is doing it because they're trying to combat misogyny. They say anyone that says it's a terrible film are misogynists. It just is. It's a fucking movie that no one cares about.
It's a Ghostbusters movie that wasn't written by Harold Ramis. I don't care about it. No, but there's a video game coming out.
Don't hate it.
Also not written by Harold Ramis, so I don't really care about it.
It's just something that exists. And I think
Also
that's
coming
the
out
best
this
thing to
week
say.
is a game that I think we touched on last week, which is Assault Suit Lanos.
I'm excited for this. This is also known as Target
Which,
Earth for Sega Genesis
yes,
kids.
this is a re-release or remaster of an old Genesis game that actually looks really, really fun.
I'm buying it.
This was also known on the Super Nintendo as what again?
Well, the Super Nintendo one was the sequel to Assault Suit Linos. It was called Assault Suit Vulcan or Vicarian or something like that. And that was known over here as
Cybernator.
Cybernator.
Excellent. That's what it is. Cybernator. But if you're a Super Nintendo kid, you probably know Cybernator more than you know Assault Suit Lanos. But it's a cool little robot game. We also have DLC for Black Ops 3 called Descent coming out, releasing on everything that Black Ops 3 is on. If you're a Black Ops player, you're probably aware of it, or have already bought it, or don't care about it. In the grand list of things that are constantly being remastered, we have Resident Evil 5 releasing for PS4 and Xbox this week, which is funny because 4 just came out last week.
I hear there are major frame rate issues with, I believe it's PlayStation 4, so watch out for that.
Oh, well. We also have Song of the Deep releasing on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. Now, Song of the Deep, I don't know too much about, actually. This game...
Insomniac's game being published by GameStop. It is a Metroidvania-style game, from what I understand. But beyond that quick little spiel, I know nothing about it either.
It's not something that I saw a lot of hype about. It just kind of snuck out there to me. I mean, I like Insomniac, and it looks all right, but it looks kind of indie title-ish. Does that make sense?
It's definitely got that vibe. Not that that's a bad thing, but that does turn some people off.
Mm-hmm. We also have
Adrift.
I don't want to say it because they spelled it wrong, and it just pisses me off.
They put
it's
that
Adrift
one in there
with the number 1 in it, and honestly, I would probably play your game if you learned how to spell.
Fun bit
it's
of trivia.
It's a first-person adventure game, so
it's
if
like
you
a
like
walking
adventure,
sim.
Yeah, you wander around. Early news is it's got mixed reviews.
Well,
right
this
now,
has already been on the PC for a while. It was meant to. It has VR support. Fun bit of trivia: the guy who made Adrift is also the same person who worked for Xbox social media, who famously put out the hashtag "Deal with It" about the backwards compatibility. Remember that when the Xbox was talking about backwards compatibility? It was very quickly fired from that job. Sure. This game came from that experience, so that's cool.
I think the only reason that you should really run out is if you have somehow VR support. So I don't know exactly how fun it's going to be on PS4, but I have heard that it's pretty cool in VR to be floating around in space. Also, a far better space game if you have a PS4 or Xbox is Kerbal Space is finally released on those consoles, and Kerbal Space is pretty cool
Kerbal
if
Space
you are
program. You're loading up little tiny critters in homemade rockets, and they will almost always blow up.
It will teach you more about aerodynamics and space travel than you've ever wanted to know.
One final game.
You will say weird things to your friends. Like vectors.
One final game coming out this week is Necropolis on the PC. Necropolis is a roguelike, Souls-like game done by Harebrained Schemes. These are the guys who have redone Shadowrun and are in the current process of redoing Battletech. It's an awesome little game. I've had a chance to play it myself. It's really fun if you like the roguelike genre, and if you like Souls-like games, give it a shot. It's great. It comes out on PC. Should be now by the time you're watching this, and will also be on consoles one day, just not today. That does it for new releases. Now we move into the final segment of the show, and that is Topic of the Week. And this Topic of the Week, overhyped games. We're talking about tampering your expectations for No Man's Sky. Inside also came out last week, and let me tell you, I played through Inside. It's an alright game, but it sure as fuck ain't worth the 10s and 9s that's been getting all over the place. So,
sir, you think that's just following too much of the Limbo hype train?
I think so. I absolutely think so. I think that if it was made by another studio who didn't make Limbo, it would be getting between 7.5s and 8.5s. So this week's Topic of the Week: what games do we hate / think are overhyped that everyone else seems to love? And here are the criteria. We each picked between 3 and 5 titles. Any game from any system is up for grabs. To be considered on this list, a game must be, quote, a critical darling, think Inside, or a commercial success.
So something that has like a lot, either a really big fan base where a lot of people love it, or it made a shit ton of money, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a big fan base. I would say something that specifically critics blowjob. but
Okay.
didn't sell too well.
Something just gets 9s and 10s all the time.
Correct. But didn't sell too well. For
Okay.
example, something that comes to mind off the top of my head in that case is System Shock 2. Critical darling, didn't sell too well.
Okay.
Or is a major commercial success, a la Call of Duty, that a bunch of fucking people just love in general, but that you never really understood.
Fair.
4,
Okay.
you must have a reason to pick it on the list other than it sucks.
So there has to be something specific that turns you off.
You have to have a critical reason for it rather than saying it sucks. And 5,
Okay.
overrated does not mean it has to be a bad game. You can still like the game.
Just think it got more than it deserved.
Exactly. Inside, for example, is a great example. I thought it was a decent game. It was all right. It sure as hell does not deserve 10s across the board.
All right.
So,
hey, if you're watching us, feel free to chime in if you have any games that you could think of like that.
Absolutely. Go ahead and start us off there, David, with what's your list.
I think I'm going to go with one that I've actually mentioned a few times on this show. It's kind of my standout game that I know everybody loves. A lot of people really like it. A lot of people are very excited for the sequel, but it just never got me, and that's Dishonored. There's just something about that game that puts me off. And I know people love Dishonored. They think it's a really cool stealth game. Mechanically, it never clicked to me. The story just wasn't enough to keep me in it. I don't know. It looked all right, but there's just not enough there for me. I don't know what it was.
Sam Grizzle in chat, I don't know if he's talking about specifically our topic of the week here, but he does mention Battlefront. 6 months later, he says it's a total flop. I get where you're coming from that, Sam. I mean, it made its money. A lot of people sang its praises when it first came out, but yeah, it's totally empty and devoid of life. There's just not
actually
much there.
that one I can agree with because I played the beta for that game and a lot of people really loved it. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to buy this day one, buy this day one. And I was like, I played the beta, I don't need it. It felt like a step back from Battlefront 2 to me. It looked great, sounded great, but
no, just lack of content. The first one on my list of overhyped / overrated games is BioShock Infinite, and it pains me to say that because I love that game. But
dude, that's I also love Infinite. I think that game is great.
But if you have played any of Ken Levine's other games, BioShock, System Shock 2, you will quickly realize you're playing the exact same fucking game that you did in those other two titles. Down to the whole hacking system, I'm going to look in this trash can and find random shit everywhere. It is very much old hat that he has been doing since 1999. Nothing really new to it. I mean, it is. I mean, the story is interesting. It's a very cool story, but it's like I said, very old hat. Does not deserve all the praise that's gotten because we have seen.
Because you're saying
this game
it didn't do anything.
Yeah, it did nothing new.
There's no new content to that game. Basically, is what you're getting at.
Not at all.
That's fair.
David, you're up.
Well, this is kind of open-ended, but this is it's like a personal preference thing. Originally, I was going to say Final Fantasy 11, and I've kind of just extended that now into WoW.
Just World of Warcraft in general.
Just World of Warcraft in general. And even then, it's bigger than that. It's the entire MMO concept. I just don't get. It doesn't make any sense to me because I've tried several MMOs over the years. I played what the hell was that game? Descent. No, not Descent. I don't know. Destiny. Flipping Star Trek Online. Neverwinter Nights. I tried Final Fantasy 11. I've just tried a bunch of different MMOs, and it's always the same thing. Like, okay, this is kind of cool. I like making a character. I like starting out. I like the feeling of progression that I'd get from playing a lot of other RPGs. Then I hit somewhere between level 10 and level 20, and they asked me to do the same thing 3 times in a row, and I just sign off. I just can't do it. I can't get into it. The entire concept of, okay, let's start building things. Let's go get 80 jobs. Let's try and make a bunch of money. Never figured it out.
No, I absolutely understand that. They can get very monotonous real quick, and the grind is all in most of those games.
And it's impossible. It's possible that's because I've never been to the late game content, but there's never been enough for me to get to the late game content.
Fair enough. My next game. This game is critically revered, people fucking loved it when it comes to journalism, the journalist side of things. They clamored for a sequel, and they finally got one. It was just as fucking mediocre as it was the first time around when people thought it walked on water, and that is Mirror's Edge. Mirror's
Okay.
Edge. Go ahead.
No, that's. I'll let you go first. That's a good pick.
Mirror's Edge is fucking praised for being this innovative, free-running game to where you can beat the game. They go, oh, you can beat the game without using a single gun, and look how stylish it is. Motherfucker, it's nothing but white and red everywhere. The game is boring as all fuck. The plot is stupid. The gameplay is mediocre at best. It didn't warrant a sequel, and they fucking gave you one anyways because this rabid-ass fan base who was formed around this game kept clamoring for it. And when they finally got it, they themselves said, okay, this is a mediocre game. When son of a bitch, the game was more or less the exact same thing as the first one. It's just you don't have your rose-tinted glasses on anymore.
All right. That's fair. That's pretty funny.
God, Mirror's Edge is so fucking overrated.
Okay, so my next one is going to be the one on my list that is a game that I used to love that I now can't stand.
All right.
So this is the one that's gone full circle for me that I don't think it's really critically rated, but it's absolutely commercial success. One of the biggest competitive multiplayer games in the world, although it recently got dethroned by another game. And I'm talking about League of Legends.
Really? You just hate League of Legends now?
League of Legends is a game that for me has just overstayed its welcome. I loved that game. I played that game religiously to the point where I would get home from work and I would turn on my computer and then I would put in my 4 to 5 hours of League of Legends before going to sleep. That was my routine. That is all I did. And at this point, I've deleted it from my computer. I can't touch it. I can't go back. It's like quitting smoking. It's just such a fundamental time sink. And at this point, when I would play it before I quit, I would just be upset, I'd be angry, I'd be frustrated, and it felt like I never left work. Just the community, honestly, unless you're playing with a group of friends and you have the ability to ignore everybody else, the community got really shitty, which it's always kind of been a little shitty, but I don't know. There's just a lot of toxicity in it, and I just lost the fun, lost the magic. Sorry, guys. Enough. I still like Riot as a company, though, so it's kind of funny.
I'm gonna give my last one here. I don't know if that was your last, but this one's my last here.
I got one more.
One more. All right. My last one. This was a game that when it came out, also got 10s. I know the reviewer for IGN was fighting very hard about how it was going to be Game of the Year, got all this critical acclaim. Oh my God, he did it again. This is such a cerebral mind fucked. I'm close my eyes and I can see the drawings everywhere, and I walk down the street and I can see the lines that I'm going to make.
Are we going Heavy Rain?
No, I'm talking about Jonathan Blow's The Witness.
The Witness.
This game was blowjobbed day and night by the critical press, by the games press. And a lot of this is stemming from the fact that they just love Jonathan Blow as a human being. They think Braid was something fantastic, and much like how I think Inside got a lot of passes because of Limbo. I think The Witness got a lot of passes because of Braid. The Witness is a very beautiful game. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed playing through it. But it is filled with some of the most pretentious motherfucking imagery I have ever seen in a game. Blow's head is so far up his ass when he comes to this game, he can taste what he had for breakfast. The secrets in the game consist of you watching these 5 to 15 minute long live action videos of scientists discussing about what is reality, quantum mechanics, is there life out there, and none of it fucking ties into what's going on. The puzzle, and I use that term singular because it is just one puzzle, is repeated over and over and over again throughout the entire game, just with slight little twists on it. I can get the same effect going through a book of Sudoku.
All right.
Did I enjoy my time with it? Absolutely. It's a very beautiful game. It has a lot of stuff that you look at and you go, oh, that looks very fucking cool. Does any of the pretentious part of it make any fucking sense? No. It's like some fucking art house designed by Yoko Ono in some retrospects, where just shit is thrown together, and we're all supposed to look at this and go, look how clever Jonathan Blow is. No, he's not. I have a dream about flying through space eating pizza with a fucking flower. Is it interesting? Sure. Is it fucking art? No.
Man, I should have gone first. I'm not that mad at my game.
And here's the bitch of it too. And I just want to reiterate. I actually really enjoyed playing through The Witness. It was a fun game. I liked all the little hidden shit that I could find through it. Is it 9/10's the greatest game of all time? Game of the year? Fuck no.
All right. That's fair.
David, finish us off here.
Okay. So I have one left. Now, this one, of the things I've picked, I know this game has a huge following. It's already had a sequel. It has another sequel coming out that people were just waiting for, like the biggest fucking deal of all time. Oh my God, I can't believe it's finally coming out. And I could give two shits about this game. I just don't care about Kingdom Hearts.
All right.
I'm saying it. I am putting it out there. Okay? There are a million people, there's millions of people that love this franchise, that love this series, that love those games, and I don't. Okay? I don't give a shit about Disney. I don't give a shit that Sony and Disney teamed up to make a game. The only thing that I think is interesting about the Kingdom Hearts franchise is that it has an action RPG combat system that was pretty cool in 2004.
All right, fair enough. I actually really like that franchise, so I can't
and that's what I'm saying.
But I could criticize. I definitely criticize it. Like, for example, Kingdom Hearts 1 starts great, ends great. The middle 80% of the game, fucking boring as hell. Especially if you've seen all those Disney films.
Yeah, there's just nothing. There's nothing for me because specifically, I am not a Disney fan. I didn't grow up watching Disney movies. I don't love going to Disneyland. I mean, I'll go to California Adventure and get drunk, but that's about it. There's just nothing there for me, and I don't want to play it.
It has a huge fucking following too. I mean,
it's huge, ridiculous.
Yeah,
I have friends that'll
definitely
probably threaten to beat the shit out of me for me even saying that.
Fair enough.
That's my game. You wanted the games that I think were overrated or overhyped? Kingdom Hearts.
That was this week's topic of the week. We always round out the show with topic of the week. If you have something that you wish for us to actually discuss for topic of the week, feel free to write us at gamepoints@gmail.com or gamepointspc@gmail.com, I should say, or send us a tweet at gamepointspc there. Beyond that, I think that wraps the show up. Thanks for watching. If you're watching live, we appreciate it. We broadcast every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at twitch.tv/gamepoints. If you're watching us... If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Comment down below and do whatever people do on that site. Same with Facebook. Type in GamePoints Podcast. We pop right up and like and all that good stuff that Facebook does. If you like us individually, you can follow me at CapitalistPig21 on Twitter. You can follow David there at Palshif_Satori. Beyond that, I think that is it. Once again, thanks for watching. This has been GamePoints, and we are out of here.